evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are able to hear me and we're all in touch. Sorry, we're a few minutes late, but we can and must continue. Good evening, Zama. Good evening, Pina and Tagon. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to start off from the perspective of notification. We should be aware that there's been an SMS sent to all of us in terms of changes that have taken place in our assignment for Business Management 3. Question 2.1 has been changed. The second bullet point has been removed. And we still are confined to understanding the assignment to come from between chapters 1 and 5. Between chapters 1 and 5. That bullet point spoke to grain strategies. It did speak to grain strategies, and that is in chapter 7. So therefore, we had to remove that question there to be within the number of chapters that you're supposed to deal with for the assignment. I hope we all get that. We got that, and we are ready to go. If we look at the assignment itself, it pretty looks like a reasonably straightforward assignment. I hope everyone has started and everyone has at least been able to draft notes on the assignment. Question 1 alludes to an open-ended application question. It is open-ended application question, and it is saying to you, define strategic management, explain how the 4 transformational aspects as part of strategic management could influence an organization's future business model, explain how the emerging views on strategy could guide an organization's identity and purpose over time, explain the strategic planning champion for that term and how it could benefit an organization. And your question 2.1 is about identifying the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of Wackerberry. And it then says to you, suggest a strength opportunity strategy and a strength threat strategy for that organization. You're also required to discuss briefly how the current macro environment trends in South Africa could have an impact on the future outlook of famous brands and ultimately on Wackerberry itself. And question 3 is requesting you to look at the article Lifting the Curse and using the case study as background, perform a macro environmental analysis of South Africa's macro environment, showing how these trends could impact your organization. Write an essay using the following guidelines to structure your answer. So therefore, those guidelines will get you through in terms of how you structure your write-up. There's a question there from Lomini Mutsa. Guys, there's an echo. It's not clear, hence we missed the changes in question 2. The changes in question 2 relate to the second bullet point. The second bullet point. It is no longer applicable. If you were to download or re-download the assignment, you would see today as the latest updated date of that downloaded assignment. Please make sure that you are there. I'm sure, Lamini, you are with me there. How will marks work in that case? We have that component of the question was worth 4 marks. Those marks will be worked back into the SWOT analysis. I hope we are having it clear there. There are a lot of people typing. I would rather we clear all the issues on marks, and then we can proceed from there. Yes. You want us to attend to the echoing? Someone is going to be looking at that. Thank you. Someone downloaded the assignment. Now it's still on the assignment question paper. We will ask Genevieve to be able to assist us in that perspective in terms of the latest assignment being uploaded. There is an echo on our recording. Tagon doesn't have an echo. Something must be funny with my voice. I hope my vocal cords are not vibrating or out of resonance. Alamini, there might appear to be a solution. You appear to be logged in twice. So please do log out of both and log in again. Okay. My apologies, we might be appearing to be delaying everybody. Genevieve, please let's attend to the question on the current update not being uploaded on eLearn of the assignment. Okay, I request that the assignment be checked on eLearn to see if we have the current updated version. However, even if you do have the version with the bullet point, may you please just ignore the second bullet point where it says which grant strategy can be identified for each of the SO and ST strategies. So that question does not apply anymore. The marks, 4 marks for that component will be factored in when we look at the SWOT analysis, and no instance will or occasion will arise where you will be disadvantaged because of that. I've tried to download the assignment, and every time I try to do this, it says fail to download. I've been trying since yesterday. Shelly has that. We will ask them to log that as well, and it will be attended to. To be attended to. Okay, having clarified the aspect of the redone question 2.1, we will go through the questions one by one at occasions when I've covered the theory required or relating to that question, and see if we can paraphrase the questions and look at what might be required, or what is required by the examiner, and how we can maximize on returns in terms of marks. Before we go through, I would like us to address the issue of presentation marks. Presentation marks. The document on undergraduate presentation mark rubric is available to you on eLearn. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage all of us to download that document and understand it in good detail. You will be penalized for structure and grammar up to a maximum of 5 marks. Up to a maximum of 5 marks. Spelling, grammar, syntax errors, you should use UK English or SA English, and you may not use US English. That will appear as spelling errors. If you do that, 1 mark will be deducted. Table of contents. You must have a table of contents. Your assignment must be, the pages must be numbered. Tagon says I must repeat. And we've got a response on eLearn. We should be able to download the correct assignment now. Tagon, you want me to repeat the presentation mark? The presentation mark, negative marking perspective. Yes, I was saying to you, if you make spelling errors, grammar or syntax errors in your assignment, 1 mark will be deducted. And you are supposed to use UK or SA English. If you use US English, you will be penalized. Your table of contents must be there. And you must have page numbers relating to what is on the table of contents. Your document must be well formatted. The font, Arial 12. Alignment must be there. Spacing must be 1.5. Numbering of questions. The yearbook has got all this information for you, as well as justifying your document. You need to justify the document. Layout and flow. You are starting each question on a new page. Ideas presented separately. Be focused in terms of your explanations. No waffling. If you do and the examiner deems it fit that you have done so, 1 mark will be deducted. You may not use slang. Informal language. Colloquial language. Sort it out. 1 mark will be deducted. That makes up 5 marks. When you cite, citation errors will have a penalty of a maximum of 5 marks. If there's limited citation in your assignment, or no citation at all, if there's no citation, the whole 5 marks is gone. If it's limited, we are going to deduct 1 mark. Where we can see that you have got information coming from Ehlers and Lazenby, but you are not acknowledging that you got the information from Ehlers and Lazenby. Overuse of direct quotes. Avoid direct quotes. Paraphrase the concepts to show understanding. The examiner should be satisfied that you are able to relate to the concept by using your own words. Incorrect format. 2 ways of citing in text. According to Ehlers and Lazenby, open bracket, 2010, close bracket, strategic management is defined as, that is when you are quoting within the sentence, or citing within the sentence. If you cite at the end of the sentence or at the end of the paragraph, you are talking about opening bracket, Ehlers and Lazenby, comma, 2010, close bracket. No page numbers, no chapter numbers. If that is not followed, we've got a problem. I will refer you here to the Harvard Referencing Guide on eLearn. Please get assistance from that. If there are authors that are missing, that's also going to be a problem. And other errors like not distinguishing between same author, year, and all that, you will be penalized as well. The last 5 marks to make up the 15 marks for negative marking will come from the reference list. If you don't have a reference list at all, you are going to have 5 marks deducted. Harvard Reference Guide shows you should indicate page numbers, not for textbooks tag on. That will be for other publications. Textbooks, no. Look at it very, very clearly. It does show you textbook with 1 author, textbook with 2, textbooks with more than 2 authors or multiple authors. It goes on like that. Please do recheck on that and ascertain what we are talking about there. Yes, don't use a bibliography. You must use a reference list. No bibliography, but a reference list. And in that reference list, it does show you in the reference, I have a reference guide, how to reference different sources of information as well. Please follow that. Italize, commas, columns, full stops, all those things count. We would love you to follow that to the T. It only goes on to show discipline and the way to structure a document if we had to be called upon to do that. At third year level, you will be using 7 to 10 references. If you do not have in your reference list or have not referred to a minimum of 7 references, surely your assignment is inadequate you will have marks deducted for that. We're encouraging you to look further afield, buttress the information that you have, and learn more in terms of application at exit level. Yes. So therefore, that is for your presentation mark. Because quite often we do hear people saying that you didn't tell us that there should be a table of contents. It does say so. And please do follow that, and let's be all happy and avoid 15 marks being deducted. Okay. I'm hoping that everyone has now got the current assignment, and the person that was unable to, that's Shelley, is it? Unable to download, has been able to download the assignment. Now we can be able to proceed. We may now proceed. You've come right. Thank you very much. We've come right. Thank you very much. And it says that updated 25 July 2017 on the assignment that you are dealing with. Thank you. All right. I always love starting off by looking at strategic management from the structure presented to you on page 9 of your textbook. The process itself involves us going through analysis of the environment. Because remember, when we are talking about strategizing, we are strategizing prior to starting a new organization, or when we realize that what we intended to achieve is not being achieved and we're at tangent with our current goals. So therefore, there is a reason for us to review what we are doing, what we've been doing, so that we are sure that we are going to come right. So the first point of call will be that the environment should be analyzed. Internal environment is the organization itself, and the external is where and within which the organization operates. Having done so, we then look at finding ourselves a strategic direction. We find that the vision that we had is not working. Let's probably come up with a new vision and a new mission of necessity, and then, and only then, can we then say to ourselves, how good is our leadership in the organization? Do they abide by corporate governance principles as they relate to strategy? Very important, because if we are unable to deal with governance issues, we may not be as upright and forthright enough to monitor strategies, execute strategies, and carry them through and benefit the organization for the organization to become sustainable and viable. If that is all happy, we go to the next stage of the strategic process. We now need to formulate the strategy. When we formulate the strategy, we develop our long-term goal. Coming through? Are you hearing me? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry about that. We must have a network problem here. Good. I was saying to you, when we formulate strategies, we borrow from the generic strategies that we already know and the grand strategies that have already been espoused. And as well, we are talking about appreciating the fact that we operate within an industry. And that industry needs to be understood in terms of the stage at which it is at in the industry life cycle. It also does affect and influences how we formulate strategies. And we then analyze the strategy and we choose the best of the options that we might have come up with. We then go into implementation. When we implement strategies, we know that we are going to find ourselves changing things in the organization. Are we well attuned and do we know how to manage change? If we do know how to manage change, that is what is required of us. When we implement strategy as well, there are drivers that we do use or that can assist us as the strategy unfolds. These drivers will be discussed, and there's about 5 of them, and we should appreciate that every strategic manager or leader should be able to resource on these, view them, and see that they assist them to do the structure of the organization, the culture of the organization, the reward system, the leadership that prevails in the organization itself. All these are drivers that help us. And then we would love to continuously improve. And the way we do improve is by controlling our process and evaluating what we are doing. The continuous improvement aspect is in realization of the fact that we want to gain competitive advantage. Our competitors do and may easily catch up with us. And then we may then look at contemporary issues that are related to strategy in terms of other organizations that also may use the concept of strategic management. In fact, not other. All organizations should be able to do that. And the global environment as well does call upon us to use the concept of strategic management when we are planning to go into the global environment. The world is so competitive, and we do find ourselves with fierce competition around, which means that we have to plan for the future and prepare ourselves for any unforeseen circumstances. There's discontinuity in the environment, and this is all because of the heightened technological involvement in the environment. A lot of things will happen at a very high speed, and these need to be realized by the manager as the manager goes about doing their strategic implementation process. We can influence the competitive landscape as managers. That we can do very well. And we need to realize that there are 4 transformations that have influenced and will continue to influence the business models and the work of strategists, managers that are involved within strategy. These are the available strategic space that is going to expand. We are talking about the global sphere. We are talking about us being able to be all over the world because of the advantages of technology. The space has definitely expanded. Availability of information, knowledge that we can have on our competitors, that all is expanding the space within which we work. Businesses are going to be global. We no longer look at the local market. The whole globe, as the global village, is a market for us. And as such, we should be able to understand what opportunities are presented to us and what threats may arise from that. Speed at which we are going to move ahead is very critical. If we are not responsive at a speed that's reasonable enough, we obviously are going to find ourselves in limbo, and we will lose the competitive advantage that we seek to acquire when we go into strategic management. And the drivers of getting there with speed are surely available. Communication is key in that respect. Innovation will be a new source of competitive advantage. We need to be changing and ensuring that we are abreast with all the technological changes and look at our products and our services as being up to speed and meeting the consumers' needs and demands. Let's be innovative. That is quite a good thing. The question itself on this information does say that explain how the four transformational aspects as part of strategic management could influence an organization's future business model. How do these four influence an organization in the way it will do business in the future? How would they shape the way an organization will do business in the future? These four transformations, these four changes that are taking place, that do influence every organization. That is what the question is talking about. What is strategic management? It is a process where the organization is looking at its functions and resources being integrated and coordinated. And when they are being integrated and coordinated, they are being done so to implement a strategy that we are looking at. So we are talking about ensuring that the different functions in the organization do work together with the resources that we have. And the manager coordinates this process to ensure that the intended strategy is achieved. Align them with the environment, because if you don't do that, surely you will see yourself not achieving your objective, and you have to go back and analyze the environment once more. But environmental analysis is surely an ongoing situation. It is ongoing. And therefore, we shouldn't stop and hope that we will get there when the time comes. Always keep your eyes open for any changes that may happen in the environment. Of course, this is all to achieve competitive advantage and to add value for our stakeholders. There is a question there that says, define strategic management. And of course, we are not going to be using those words exactly. I said to you, paraphrase. Even if you paraphrase, you are getting the idea from Ehlers and Lazenby. You are paraphrasing what is in Ehlers and Lazenby. That is the most important thing. Strategic management alludes to the fact that it is important for us to have competitive advantage. And of course, yes, a strategy therefore is a deliberate action that we take to outperform our rivals. It is deliberate. People have got different views about strategy. There are traditional views that have always existed, which say that strategy is seen as fit with resources, meaning that, you know what, think about anything, whatever you want to do, you've got the resources, they should work for what you have thought. That's quite rigid. Strategy is positioning in existing industry space. There is an industry, irrespective of what might be happening in the environment, just take your organization, go and plant it there, and move on with the target. That may be retrogressive. It is not dynamic at all. Strategy as top management activity. Only the top guys do it. Never. Everyone is involved. Middle managers do the environmental analysis. Everyone else does the implementation. Therefore, top management, even if they do design the strategy, they should be able to get input from everyone else. It is encouraged to have a bottom-up communication flow. It's an analytical exercise. We need more than analysis. We can extrapolate from the past. The past is and could be rigid, inapplicable. And if we say it did happen like this in the past, it must happen like that now. That may not necessarily be the case. So therefore, let's look at the emerging views. Strategy as stretch and leverage. Yes, we would love to ensure that we look at our resources, challenge them enough, use them to the max, and use the strengths that we have within our resources as a pedestal for getting competitive advantage. Strategy is to create new industry space. Yes, we go into an industry, let's be innovative enough to think of different ways of being the leader in that particular industry. Not just going in there and fitting as a piece in a jigsaw puzzle. Let's confuse things a bit and confuse things positively to ensure that we are able to lead the pack in that space. Strategy as total and continuous organizational process. It is not only for top managers. It is for the whole organization which works as a team with consultation and eventually buy-in and commitment of whatever plans we bring about. Strategy is an analytical and organizational exercise. We said it cannot be analytical alone. We needed to go beyond analysis. So therefore, it has managed to capture the organizational perspective as well, to add onto the analytical sphere to ensure that this exercise has got a value add. Strategy must be seen as creating the future. We just don't extrapolate from the past and say, what we used to do, let's do now, or probably try and do more. No. We say to ourselves, what could happen in the future, given the current environmental trends? And we plan for that which may be the possibility of happening in the future. So therefore, the question there does say to us, look at how the emerging views on strategy could guide an organization's identity and purpose over time. How does it guide on who you are as an organization? How we identify you as an organization? And also what your reason for existence is. I'm reminded by the mission. I'm reminded of the mission there. Who are involved in strategy? During our discussion, I did explain the fact that, surely yes, analysis will be done by managers who are responsible for different areas. And formulation will be done by top management. Implementation will be done by everybody in the organization. And that is the reason why we said we need to involve and make this practice, exercise, organization-wide. It has got to be. Strategic planning champions. Who are these people? These are practitioners who will introduce, promote, and guide the strategic planning process in an organization. That is what they do. They are skillful strategic thinkers, and they are analytical planners. And their role is to ensure that they become social crafts people and artful interpreters, and they are known strangers. You need people that know your industry, but they are outside your organization. If they're inside the organization, we have a tendency of them being subjective because of various reasons. The question says to you, explain that term and how does it benefit the organization? The answer comes from there, and of course, yes, we would not want us to copy the explanation as it comes from bullet point number 1. Paraphrase that. Paraphrase that, and make sure that you explain it in your own words to show understanding on who the strategic planner is, or the strategic planning champion is. What are the benefits of strategic management? If we do it very well, we do get higher profitability, higher productivity, because we've planned, everyone knows our objectives that are going to be achieved, and they're working towards those objectives. Improved communication, we need to detail what has to be done, and we also need to get feedback on what has been done and what is not being done, and we communicate the aspect of how best can we move from where we are going forward. If we have involved everyone in the organization, surely we have empowered, and people will take up responsibility better if they've been empowered. Discipline in the sense of responsibility, they know their objectives, and therefore, yes, some discipline will prevail in the sense that they are convinced and committed to achieving what we have set them up to do. More effective time management, there are milestones, deadlines to be met, and the manager as well knows exactly what to manage there. More effective resource management, because we know when and how to channel resources. Providing a framework for management, I've explained that. Promotes proactive thinking. Yes, we are always looking and talking about how is the environment playing out? What is it that we want to achieve? We continuously control and evaluate. So therefore, we need to be thinking proactively all the time. And we reflect and say, are we achieving the vision that we set ourselves out to achieve? And that does make us move in that direction. What are the risks that may come about when we perform strategic management, or that may derail strategic management? It's a time-consuming exercise, and people may feel that it is taking too much of their time and they drop off the exercise, and that is dangerous, as we say. Unrealistic expectations from managers and employees alike. Once they've spoken to you as managers, they may think that you are capable and they expect this to happen and come out from you. They may actually even expect more than is possible and feasible. Employees as well. If you've been there to give them guidance, get solutions, when things happen in a particular way, they may think you work wonders. If that doesn't happen, then of course they get disappointed, and that could be a risk that may arise. Uncertain chain of implementation. Do we really know the direction of implementation? If we don't, that is going to lose us. Negative perception of strategic management. Some people don't believe in the process. Some people don't believe in the doctrine. They just don't. They've worked that way the rest of their lives, and they find life working out for them and such, but check out and see if they've maximized on their potential. They've maximized on taking advantage of all the opportunities. They may not. No specific objectives or measurable outcomes. Even set yourself anything to achieve in life. Culture of change. Do you believe in it? If you do, That's right. Because we said that if you're going to be implementing a strategy, it's a new plan. Things are going to change. And they will change at any point in the organization and in any form. Success group. Sometimes we've been used to being successful, such that you forget failure may come through. Now, often see with students as well, if they've been getting distinctions all along, and something changes somewhere, they get out of their comfort zones, and they score a 60% aspect, then that becomes something worrisome for them, because the reason for complaining is that the success groove had consumed them. Sometimes, well, at least if they do realize that, that's good. But sometimes it consumes you to a point where you are not even able to realize that you are going wrong. That could derail us. Strategic leadership. There are two issues to discuss here: leadership itself and the direction that we want to take. This leadership is needed to compete successfully in the turbulent business environment of today. We need that. It must definitely be there. It is different from the leadership that we have known in Business Management 1 and Business Management 2. This one is strategic leadership. It's also a driver of strategy. It will be discussed in great detail. It is only going to be possible if we also engulf the aspect of strategic intelligence. That is what drives strategic leadership. That intelligence there. If we've got better strategic intelligence, it will lead us to a better strategic leadership, so to speak. We need it to succeed, and of course, a strategic leader will be a person that can anticipate, envision, be flexible and maintain that flexibility, think strategically, work with others to initiate change that will create a viable future for the organization. The organization must be profitable, and that person, if they do so, they are a strategic leader. What are the embodiments of this leadership? Vision, building trust. This trust is among your colleagues and, of course, taking effective action. You are talking about persuasion and leading by example. This is the great leader view, which basically says that you are the CEO, everything goes by you, operate alone, and that's how you do it. And surely that may not necessarily be the good way to go. Then we've got the great groups view, where we realize that within a group, there are endowments, capabilities spread out throughout all the members. It is up to us to tap into that or those resources that each and every one have uniquely to themselves. Corporate governance. In our process, we did say we need to then be able to agree and say our leaders are operating within the realms of corporate governance. We are not a loose-standing independent entity. We always operate with our competitors in the marketplace. We are being watched, observed, not only by competitors, as well as by all the stakeholders. You can't focus solely on your economic goals. Profit, profit, profit. No. You need also to think about the well-being of the environment and the well-being of your stakeholders at large. And when you do that, corporate governance then kicks in. Responsible leadership is called on us to perform. We need to take ownership of the consequences that our business activities will reveal on an economic, social, and environmental level. When we do that, we are being responsible as leaders. Two main responsibilities. The first one is corporate social responsibility, corporate citizenship, social accountability. That is the first one. And second one is corporate sustainability, ensuring that we carry the organization forever by applying to the triple bottom line, looking at the economic impact, social impact, and environmental impact of the actions that you have performed in the organization. This concept ties down the principles of responsible leadership, sustainability, and corporate citizenship into concrete governance of organizations. But of course, yes, we need to be able to be concerned by the balancing of the economic, social goals, as well as individuals and communal goals, lest we obviously come up with the agency problem. Our internal environment, it is the organization itself. We look at the capacity as determined by the resources that we have, which are going to give us competitive advantage. What are the capabilities of our resources? If we've determined their capabilities, we then look at our core competencies. These core competencies will result in us identifying our distinctive competencies. Understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses in all the areas you work within the organization. Examples are there that some people have got and they've built competitive advantage. Organizations like Coca-Cola, Nike Sports, as well as Pick and Pay. What is the importance and challenges that we find in the internal analysis? We are looking at ourselves and we are saying, what is it that we can do? That is the answer we get after analyzing the organization itself. We come up with the aspect of the things we are able to do. But of course, we should also be able to look at what we might then be able to do that comes from the opportunities that are abound in the external environment. So then we develop our vision or strategic intent, pursue the strategic mission, select and implement the strategies that we are focusing on by understanding what we can do and what we may be able to do. And then, of course, finally, what is that we can do and that which we will choose to do by looking at the organization in detail. Our ability to change is very important because the environment is dynamic. It changes from time to time and in time and space. We appreciate the fact that we are a bundle of resources. We've got capabilities and core competencies, and we should use these to achieve our objectives. A schematic view of the relationship between the components of the internal environmental analysis process and strategic competitiveness. How do we get to a point where we are strategically competitive? We have got our resources and our management capabilities. These two relate. And we also look at analyzing the value chain. Input, process, output. Determining exactly where we may intervene to assist us to gain competitive advantage. Where are we best at? At what points do we perform better than the competitors? And then, of course, we determine the strengths and weaknesses in our SWOT analysis. By having management capabilities interacting with the resources, we create and establish the core competencies. Those aspects at which we perform better than our competitors, or we know we are good at. This will give us our competitive advantage, and eventually we achieve strategic competitiveness. But I'm saying to you, these core competencies can be imitated. They can be imitated unless they become distinctive competencies. Even distinctive competencies can be imitated as well. You just need to give your competitor time. They will definitely know what it is that you are doing, which they are unable to do. SWOT analysis is an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, resources, or capabilities that the organization has, which are an advantage relative to what the competitors have. These definitions are very important because in question 2, you are required to identify these things. Be very clear. Students quite often look at this question and say, that's very easy. That's very easy. I'll do it the night before submission. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not doing yourself any justice at all. Not doing yourself any favor at all. You need to critically think about the factor you are identifying and see if it is a strength or an opportunity. That's why I'm saying these definitions are important. Take your time, understand what you're supposed to pick out from the case study, and apply it very well. Question 2.1, does it want us to draw the matrix? Question 2.1, yes, it does want you to draw the matrix because it says utilizing the SWOT matrix. In the first bullet point, it does say utilizing the SWOT matrix. However, the question is coming again. I do see a lot of people typing. And it doesn't have to come from the case study alone. It has to come from the case study. Otherwise, how then do we draw boundaries around what we are going to be marking correct and marking wrong? Take on, that is, or those are the boundaries drawn around it. If it is obvious, buying a dairy farm, that could be a strength. I don't understand. I don't understand the question, Tagon. Oh, you're giving us an example. Giving us an example. Oh, yeah, okay, fine. All right. Okay, all right. I hear you now. You are reading between the lines. You are reading between the lines. You know, yes. Do they have the intentions to buy a dairy farm? Are they going to buy a dairy farm? Does it say so in the case study? Are there indications? Would you not want to leave that until you get to the point where you are talking about the strategies? You may not be marked right. if you're saying that buying a dairy farm or they're going to be buying a dairy farm is a strength. If it is in the case study, that's okay. If it is not, no. Yes, it's yeah. I see that. Yes. Rose? No, that's not a strength. Could be a strategy. That's what I'm saying, Rose. For strength and an opportunity. Please don't go that route. You are risking your life in terms of marks. Do not go that route. And I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, avoid bungling your facts. Unbundle them so that you can get as many points as possible. Wackerberry have got a good competitive product. That's bundling. Tell us the attributes in the product that makes it good. And you could list a number of them. And then you are increasing the possibility of getting as many points as possible. He's asking because he assumed that you need 4 of each, and there definitely aren't 4 of each in the case study. Not necessarily 4 of each. If you do come up with, say, 15, where you've got 3 strengths, 8 weaknesses, 4 opportunities, I don't know how many I've counted now. 11, 15 already. And none of the other. That is still alright. It is still okay. You do not have to balance in terms of 5, 5, 5, 5. No. There's a question coming through again. I'll pause there. Thank you. Your question is answered. Second part of the question, 2.1. Do we need to draw the grand strategy matrix, or can we just put SO1, rows, 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 rows? You appear to have the old assignment. That question has now been struck off the question paper rows. We are only dealing with the SO and ST strategy. Thank you so much. Our apologies. Our apologies. We do understand why you're going in that direction. Opportunities, a favorable situation in the organization's external market or external environment, which is market and or macro environment. The threat is an unfavorable situation in the organization's external environment that affects that organization. This is an example of a SWOT matrix. An example of a SWOT matrix. Here are the strengths that are listed for this organization. Weaknesses listed. Opportunities listed. Threats listed. If this person is going to come up with an SO strategy, they will say to themselves, what strength can I pick up and what opportunity may I pick up to formulate a strategy? The example here is that strength number 2, which is positive cash flow for the organization. Opportunity number 1 opening economies in sub-Saharan Africa. If you put those two, you are going to have a strategy. And this strategy is introducing Africa to movies. Why? Because you have a positive cash flow. You've got the money. You have a strength that says that you've got the money. And you happen to see an opportunity in the rest of Africa where you could do business with. That example gives us a strength opportunity strategy. A strength opportunity strategy. Or we look at the second one, which is extensive marketing in new complexes. Strength number 5, we have got good advertising techniques. We ride on that way. And opportunity 6, which says there are entertainment complexes as well. So let's use our good advertising strength to go out there and advertise in the entertainment complexes that are available. That is an example of that. SOST, not the whole thing, but then remember you also need to mention weaknesses. I don't see weaknesses there. You need to mention the weaknesses as well. Tracy says, for the first part, 2.1, do they not want the whole sort? Then move on to SO and ST. Yes, Tracy, that's what I'm saying to take on. We need to be able to detail the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. And then, only after that, may we think of an SO strategy and an ST strategy. Only after that. Because the question says to you, perform a SWOT analysis indicating how the internal and external environment impact on workability. And thereafter, determine the following strategies for workability. And yes, that details it all. Yes, take on. It can also be enumerated point by point. It can be. It can definitely be. You don't necessarily have to draw those boxes, but what we understand is that we always name this the SWOT matrix. It's habit. It is habit. Not necessarily Nazarene. It's like I said, it's habitual. You can enumerate the points, and if you see them clearly enumerated, you can also look at strengths and opportunities and delve into them to be able to see which two of those combine. If you prefer the table or the matrix, well and good. Well and good. External environment. It is where the organization is operating within. Our growth and our profitability is always affected by what is happening out there. Let's be thorough in analyzing the environment because it will enable us to take good advantages of the opportunities and be able to ameliorate or reduce the impact of the threats that are in that environment. We want to look at the trends, events, that which are not within our control, to be able to guide us on how we can manage those. how we can manage those. The process is continuous. We don't just do it there and then and we are all over with it. It is a continuous process. And the components of the external environmental analysis are scanning the environment, where we are looking at signals in the environment that will result in changes in trends. We identify those. We monitor how these progress. And we may want to focus based on these trends. After that, we assess the timing and importance of these changes and trends and look at what is in the offering for us to implement our strategy. We divide our external environment into three segments: the global environment, the macro environment, and the industry environment. We often spoke about PESTLE. We now speak about PEST because the legal environment has been combined with the political environment for good reason. All legal aspects are championed by the political animals. Organizations should be aware of and understand all the dimensions of the external environment. We can't control this, but we are unable to manage them. The South African context, yes, that is what 2.2 is saying. Discuss briefly how the current macro environmental trends in South Africa could have an impact on the future outlook of famous brands. Identify what is happening now in the South African macro environment and see how it will impact on future brands as it moves forward, as it drives itself ahead. And then, question 3 appears to be a repetition of that, but it is entirely different. It is saying to you, look at the components of the macro environment: political, economic, social, technological, and ecological, as pertaining to South Africa, and apply them to your own organization, assisted by the article that has been given to you as a case study. There is the article, there is your own organization, and there is the macro environment. We are looking at your capabilities of integrating facts. How good are you at integrating facts? Are you able to unbundle? Lomini is saying, meaning you have to choose an organization, your own organization. Let's look at the third bullet point. Okay. Let's go through the whole question. According to the article, Lifting the Curse, one of Africa's macro environmental trends is that some African countries are too reliant on resource-fueled commodities. That means that we extract, we export. extract, export, extract, export. That's what that is saying. Using the case study as the background, perform a macro environmental analysis of South Africa's macro environment, showing how these trends could impact your organization. You've been given a background by the case study. You look at South Africa and you look at your organization, Lomi. Yes, you must choose an organization. Relate to an organization. Are we analyzing two organizations in one essay? Lifting the Curse and also our own organization. Rose. Lifting the Curse is background reading. It gives you an idea of what's happening in Africa. It's background reading. And South Africa is your point of call. And then your organization is your application. You are applying your organization as it operates within the South African environment. Thank you, Rose. Thank you so much. Furthermore, okay, it's a body using the test elements as your heading. Remember, we spoke about the structure. So your heading will be political. You tell us what the political landscape looks like in South Africa, how it's going on along, and surely, yes, relate to aspects that you came across in lifting the curse, and then zero in on your organization. Does it have to be a local organization? Not necessarily take on. It doesn't have to be local. But of course, yes, it has got to have interaction with the South African environment. It would have to have interaction with the South African environment. There are a lot of companies that are not local that do business within South Africa. Ross says, I would think that's yes, I concur. Applying to South Africa, so I'm sure it would have to be a local organization. If it does business, it must have an office. If it has an office, it's registered. If it just exports and has got alliances with people that receive the stuff, it should be able to appreciate how it does the exports, looking at the methods of entering foreign markets. Surely, even if it only does exports and its products are sold by someone else, surely when they look at their products and they are attracting the South African environment, they should be able to, at one time or the other, think about what happens in South Africa, and they are affected by what happens in South Africa. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready to get your distinctions? Please give it thought, take your time, and produce good assignments. Follow the requirements of the undergraduate presentation mark rubric. Don't just produce a piece of work and say, I didn't have time, therefore this is what it is. No. Please give it your utmost and take time to understand the question. Break it down, analyze it, realize what it requires. All your questions that you're asking me here are the process that you follow when you are unbundling a question, understanding a question. And of course, it says that use the guidelines in question 3. Use those guidelines. Someone will obviously want to deviate from that, but you're not following instructions. You need to structure your answer according to those guidelines. And at each bullet point, do what you are being directed to do, because your marks will be earned according to the structure given. So therefore, follow that. I'm raising my voice. Sorry about that. My apologies. I was just emphasizing. Everybody is quiet. What does it mean? Are we giving thought to the assignment? Are we happy? We are fine, and we can call it a day, if you don't mind, unless there are other questions. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am waiting, and I can see you are all still online. If we should call it a day, also do confirm that. If there are any further questions, yes, let's do so. I will advise that, yes, you're very right, you need to give it a lot of thought. If you look at question 2, it does appear, straightforward, easy. Yes, it's straightforward. There's no complications about it. Easy and all. But as you can tell from one of the questions, one of the participants did ask. They said that, yeah, I was thinking that I should be able to, pick up for a headline for the SWOT analysis. Huh? Not necessarily so. There could be more for one and less for the other. And having to pick up those, and the way you formulate the statement or the phrase, it's also important. You could formulate it in a way that it relates to a strength. Yet you are talking about an opportunity. So be careful about that. Take your time. Read through the case study over and over until you understand exactly what it requires of you. And then start tabulating or listing your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats after having clearly gone through the case study. Wonderful. No questions at this stage. Yes, you are going to give it thought. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy, why did the SMS say? Why did the SMS say they are including chapters 7 and 9? All right, that SMS is superseded by the SMS you got today and the updated assignment. We are not going to include 7 and 9. Please, our apologies. We are very sorry about that. It is just 1 to 5. 7, 9 are out. We removed 7, 9 because we changed question 2 and we removed the second bullet point from the old assignment. Oh, Tracy, you haven't received another SMS. There is also a tutorial letter on eLearn regarding this change. There is a tutorial letter on eLearn regarding this change. we will investigate the reason why you haven't received the SMS. We will do. If it has not been sent out, we will request the relevant department to do that. Chapter 7 and 9, related to the second bullet point in question 2.1, because we removed the question, therefore 7 and 9 are out of the picture. I also didn't receive the SMS. Okay, thank you for pointing out that. It means that the SMS must be resent. We will do. And Jen, please remind me tomorrow as well. I will take a note of that. We'll make sure that that is done. Ladies and gentlemen, all the best. Remember, if you have got any challenges, communicate with us on academic-ug@immgsm.ac.za to clear any doubts that may exist in your mind. Please do communicate. We will respond to you. We will respond to you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the evening and happy assignment progression. Thanks, person.